Okay, so we just looked at the good approximation section, and that depended on something from before. And what was the thing, the real quick thing in the section before?
It's about Gauss finding a good approximation for the amount of prime numbers less than a number.
Less than 3 million. Okay, and how, I don't remember what the actual number was. It was like around 72,000, right?
Yeah.
So how much was Gauss off by?
He was off by
225.
Okay, so he missed
226 or
off by
something.
225. Well, actually, it's funny. In one section it says he was off by 225, and another section says he was off by 226. That's all right. So that's pretty amazing that Gauss was able to figure this out.
Yeah.
But he still wasn't right. He didn't get it exactly right. But the question was, is this a good approximation? If the number of primes is actually 216,970, I think that's the actual number.
He was off by 225.
Oh, sorry, no, it's 216. That was his estimate, and the actual number was 216,816. That's the actual number of primes. So this is his estimate, that's the actual number. And he was off by 225, and the question is this a good approximation? Is this number a good approximation for that one? What would you say?
Well, I would say yeah. I mean,
Okay.
considering how large these numbers are,
Uh-huh.
that a few hundred doesn't really matter.
Okay. But what happened if I asked you to bring me 5 donuts, and you actually brought me 230 donuts? Would that be a good approximation?
No.
No.
Okay, why not?
Because it depends. Because 5 is it's a kind of small number.
Okay.
And like if you're off by 225, that's a really bad approximation.
Yeah. So sometimes missing by 225 is no big deal,
Yeah, and sometimes it is.
and sometimes missing by 225 is a really big deal.
Yeah.
Okay. So how did the book say one way we could resolve this problem of knowing when something's a good approximation?
Well, it was the square root of the number.
Okay.
So like 3 million, wasn't it something like 1,700?
Yeah, I don't remember actually what the square root of 3 million is.
But if you're off by less than that.
Yeah, 1,732. So if you're off by less than the square root of a number, then maybe that's not too bad.
Yeah.
Okay? And so, for example, an easier number to find the square root of is 1,000,000. What's the square root of 1,000,000?
It's
That's 1,000.
1,000. So if you thought you were getting 1,000,000 of something and you only got 999,811,
Yeah.
that'd be okay.
Yeah.
You'd say fine. That's a good enough approximation.
Yeah.
But if you thought you were getting 100 of something and the answer was off by 1,000,
Then.
that'd be a bad.
that'd be a bad approximation.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting chapter.
Yeah.
And it shows this amazing fact that Gauss was able to estimate the number of primes less than 3 million, and he didn't miss by very much.
Yeah.
Let me ask you one just quick thing. What do you think you do for negative numbers? What if you thought an answer to something was like minus 1,000,000? How could you figure out a good approximation since you can't find the square root of a minus number?
Well, I would look at the square root of the positive version.
Ah,
Like if you were off by 1,000.
okay. What do you think?
So yeah, I think you would just like make the number positive,
Uh-huh.
and then take the square root of that, because you can't do the square root of a negative number.
All right,
I
interesting.
mean, you can, but you don't really want to be off by 1,000i.
Yeah.
What is that?
What is that? Okay. Good work, guys. All right, let's look at the last section.
Okay.